Good evening, everyone. Today, in another edition of Exploring Minds, we have Mr. Vivek Atray, an ex-IAS officer, motivational speaker, a best-selling author, and also a mentor. It's great to have you, sir.
Thank you, Rajat. Great to be here.
Thank you, sir. So, my first question is, what has been keeping you busy lately? What is up?
So lately, I would say the last 5 years, let me talk about, because
Yeah.
I resigned from the IAS 5 years ago. And we'll talk about the IAS later. But the last 5 years have been very exciting.
Yeah.
I've been a speaker. I've been on the move. And despite the fact that 2 years out of these 5 were pandemic, I was online almost every day. So I speak about 5 days a week, or could be 6 days a week. And today I'm speaking to you.
Yeah.
Sometime I may be on the stage, sometime I'm on the camera. So my message is to the youth to be calm and balanced and creative, things like that. So this keeps me busy. And I also advise a couple of institutions and universities like Shoolini University.
Yeah.
And I'm also a mentor of an academy which prepares people for the civil services.
Wow.
I'm also involved in a cricket tournament in my father's memory, a think tank called SUVICHAR, and one or two other things. So that's it.
That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, so that's great. And after taking VRS, after retiring from service, how would you contrast your present life from the one that you had in the past?
So there are certain things which are common
Yeah.
and certain things which have changed.
Okay.
So the things which are the same is you could say the network, the friends. So the people from the services who are my friends are still my friends. I still meet them, have coffee with them, and they are busy in their offices. I make jokes out of them.
Yeah.
That you're working so hard, and here I am enjoying myself. So they say, oh, we also want to leave. So but it's not all that bad, and I know that I had a good stint in the service. So I think I was enjoying myself in service and contributing to the society, but I felt the need to quit and become a speaker to do more, to engage with the youth. As I said, the youth of India excites me, and I really want to give them this message of being balanced and calm and not being under stress and pressure of expectation from the parents, from society. Many of them are into overthinking and overstressing.
Yeah.
And so I'm the guy who tells them, yeah, just chill a little more. So I think the change has been, as you said, in terms of what I do, in terms of the day, but it's not a change in terms of how I am. I'm the same person, and it doesn't affect me that I don't have a car with a driver from the government now. I often have a driver, or I don't have a driver. I drive myself. I'm very comfortable. I'm chilled out in terms of flying off anywhere. There I had to take permission to go anywhere I had to from my boss, the chief secretary or whoever. And I was a little more limited in my movements, in my creativity. And there was a time when I wanted to be more creative. So I think that is the crucial change that we can talk about. The creativity levels are more, the limitations are less.
Yeah, it's great. And I think you mentioned a lot of things that you're involved in a plethora of activities.
Yeah.
And all of these activities have competing demands, and you have to manage your time effectively, efficiently. And this is a problem that even students face. We have 2 assignments, we have to go out for another extracurricular activity. How do we prioritize? How do we manage our time?
It's a great topic, time management. I speak on anger management, time management, self-management. So time management is linked to prioritization. Whatever is more important has to be given more time or significant time. You have to follow Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
You pick up those 20% things which make 80% of the impact first. So I prioritize and I manage my time accordingly. So if I'm invited for a wedding and it's likely to take 3.5 hours in all, going, coming, spending an evening there, I try to cut it down to 1 hour. How do I do that? Half an hour travel, half an hour back. Okay, not 1 hour, 1.5. I spend only half an hour there.
Okay.
I meet the host, I meet everyone I have to. I don't have dinner, I just come back. So I do my reading, I do my writing. I'm a writer also. I do some other work, some calls, some preparation for a talk. So I've learned how to cut down on the unnecessary things. And I don't unnecessarily chat long hours on the phone or other thing, that, oh, what's happening now, how are you doing, oh, kya ho gaya, gappe shappe. You do your conversations, but I try not to waste time. So my time management principle is try to be constructive most of the time. Of course, you chill, you watch cricket, you go for a walk, important things. Take out time for self-development, meditation, reading books, but be a little semi-structured in your mind. Then your time management is okay.
Yeah. And now let's get back to your IAS journey, like as an IAS officer.
Yeah.
So you're a young IAS officer on the field. I want to know about a few maybe mistakes that you made, and they were a huge learning experience, and they transformed the way you think about problems. And like, were there any instances like that?
It's a good question. And when I started, I went to call on the Chief Minister. It was Mr. Bhajanlal at that time in Haryana. I was a young guy, 24. He knew my father, who was an IPS officer. So I went, I said, sir, I'm joining as so-and-so post, SDM Kalka. He says, Acha hai, you go and serve the public. Help the poor. Now, if a politician tells you that, it's a great learning, because I thought he's going to say, help my people. My party, my people, but he said, help the poor man.
Yeah.
So I think he gave me a good startup, heads up on what I should do. I always listened to the poor as a young officer. But the mistake, if you could call it, I made was that I became very high profile early in service.
Okay.
So I was in the papers, my photo was there. Whenever the media would come, I was ready to talk to them. Even now I'm doing similar things.
Yeah.
So early in my life, I realized that seniors don't like it if junior is too prominent.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, somebody would like, oh, you're too much in the papers, you're too much in the papers. So I became high profile very early, and that annoyed a few people. So then I tried to tone it down for a while.
Yeah.
So for the next 10 years, perhaps I was a little less in the papers, etc.
Yeah.
But then I became Director IT of Chandigarh when it required of me that I should be out there promoting the city, talking about Chandigarh to investors for e-governance, etc. We'll talk about that. So again, I became high profile. And then till I left, I was reasonably high profile, giving interviews on youth, etc. I started delivering TEDx talks while in service. So then the profile went up. So initially, I think I should have been a little careful about that. That was the only mistake I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have any interesting anecdotes during your time at the service, during your service period? You interacted with certain people, and that made you rethink your fundamentals. Yeah.
So I heard a couple of stories before I'll tell you mine. One, Dr. S.Y. Qureshi was the Chief Election Commissioner of India. So he was recounting this story. In fact, at my book launch, later, I was still in service and I launched my first novel called Move On Bunny. And he was the chief guest, and he was talking about his early days as SDM. He says, I pulled up my Mali, the gardener. ये क्या किया तुमने official residence पे, ये ठीक से नहीं फूल लगाए, whatever. I was a young SD, he was a young SDM, maybe 25, 26. And the Mali says to him, Sahab ji, I have seen at least 14 SDMs like you. He's been there for 30 years.
Yeah.
So he's seen 14 SDMs. So Mr. Qureshi says that I was put in my place by the gardener. I am to coming and going 2 years. And this guy's been there for so many years. So I should rather be more respectful to him.
Yeah.
So I myself had that respect for people at a very early age. So one or two anecdotes I've shared in my TEDx talks and Josh talk, I'll just repeat briefly here. So elderly people whose work was pending, I used to spend more time with them. Because they were the ones who suffered more if people didn't listen to them.
Yeah.
A young person or an active person, he'll manage.
Yeah.
But people who are underprivileged, poor, elderly, nobody talks to them, listens to them. I used to go out of my way to help them. So many a time I got blessings from them, and in Haryana, Punjab, there's a method that they have. These old ladies, they'll come and they'll give you blessings and they'll spoil all your hair. So well done, well done. Da, 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 da. So I could do that to you right now.
Yeah.
But so basically, it became a kind of aim of mine to help the elderly. So I have many anecdotes with the elderly.
Yeah.
They can't hear you, they're smiling at you, and I used to go to villages, they would meet me. Everyone came to know that this guy looks after the old people.
Yeah.
So, they would all line up and go and give me blessings and spoil my hair and my clothes and everything. But I was very happy because I was in the field. And there was one guy, a favorite anecdote of mine is, whose name was Amarnath. And it is Amarnath, I'm sure he's around. So he was an elected councillor. And he used to come, and the slip he would send was Amarnath MC, because he was a municipal councillor. So every day he would come, Amarnath MC, Amarnath. So I told him, Amarnath, aap roz to aate ho koi kaam leke, so don't send me a slip, you just come. Whenever I can call you, I'll call you. So he would still write Amarnath MC. He was very proud of writing that, you know. Now what happened was, he lost the election after 5 years. Despite me helping him in all his work, he still lost the election. He came to meet me after about 10 days after that. And obviously 10 days he was grieving having lost the election. Now he comes, he writes, Ex-Amarnath MC. So I called him in. I said, Amarnath, tum to ho na abhi yahan pe. Haan ji sir. Waise bhi your name is Amarnath. You can't die. So I said, this Amarnath ex-MC, not ex-Amarnath MC. He said, theek hai. So that was a funny one. So you meet lots of people of this kind who are keen to make a mark, and they provide you with amusement many a time.
It's very profound. And it's very great the way you dealt with all the elderly. With
I really feel for them.
And were there any, I mean, sure, I think all of them were, but were there any specific lucky moments? Like you mentioned, you met the Election Commissioner of India and he told you about this. And after this moment, I think you would have had a different way of interpreting things. And were there any other moments like this?
Yeah, there were. So there was a Mr. Vittal. He was the Chief Vigilance Commissioner of India. So as junior officers, you get to go to Delhi and meet these senior people in meeting. You listen to them. They are addressing about 100 people. You are also one of them. And you know, they don't know, but they make an impact on these people. Later, when I became Deputy Commissioner or Director Industries or Director IT, I would sit before 50 people, 100 people and talk to them. So maybe I made an impact on some of them. So Mr. Vittal is telling this story. He says, policy planning and implementation. Sitting here and making a policy in this studio, we could make great policies, right? But how are they going to be implemented in the village? They have to be linked to the ground realities. It's a great learning for all of us. So Mr. Vittal says, often the policy makers don't understand the implementation part is difficult. They have to have the pulse of the ground. Only then they make the policy according to that. So he says, he tells a story. He says there was a dog, a monkey and a cat. So he says the monkey was the head of the animal kingdom or whatever at that time. Maybe the lion was away somewhere. So the monkey was sitting on the wall and every animal would go for advice to the monkey. So the cat goes to the monkey and says, Mr. Monkey, I have a problem. The dog keeps harassing me all the time. And I can't even function. I don't know what to do. So the monkey said, that's very simple to resolve. Don't worry about it. You are a cat and the dog harasses you. If you become a dog, then the dog can't harass you anymore. So the cat goes scratching its paws or whatever, face, and comes back after a while. Mr. Monkey, you told me to become a dog, but how do I become a dog? So the monkey says, see, policy is my job, implementation is your job. So Mr. Vittal, in this very simple story, he explained how policy planners are cut off from the reality. How the hell is a cat going to become a dog? How the hell are you going to implement that scheme which you have made in Delhi, which is not ground linked? Then this happens over the decades. It's not like it's happening now only. It happens every time. And people have to be attuned to the ground reality. So I learned all this. So I kept learning from seniors and trying to implement it in my life.
As an IAS officer and even as a motivational speaker, you have impacted so many lives. How did you ensure that power, money and greed did not take control of your mind, and you stayed stable, humble and treated everyone with humility?
No, Rajit, you've taken this conversation to another level. See, I am a conversationalist, so I noticed these levels. Right now, we've been talking about humdrum things. Now you've taken it to a higher level. So, I personally feel that the quest for power, money and fame, greed you said, is a materialistic way of living. So, there is a share which I've been using now and I've used it before. People have watched it on video, but I'll repeat it here because it's relevant. It came on WhatsApp, this quote, and I don't know, WhatsApp University, right?
Yeah.
So it says, फितूर होता है हर दौर में जुदा जुदा, पहले खिलौने, फिर इश्क, फिर पैसा, फिर खुदा खुदा. So children start off with wanting toys.
Yeah.
Teenagers have crushes, and some of them last lifelong.
Yeah.
And careers starts. So the paisa part, the career part. And then you remember at the end of your life, or some people don't even get that time, that God is also worth, pursuing. So I think someone who realizes that the real goal of life is true happiness, which is within, is not going to run after money, power and fame madly.
Yeah.
How much money do we need? There are many stories of that, fables. So we don't need money beyond a point. We don't need power beyond a point. We don't need fame. Fame is fleeting.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan is also on the decline. Virat Kohli also 3-4 years later he will retire. Dhoni retired. So things are transient. So I think we have to look at permanent happiness within. I have my book, Finding Success Within. You conquer your own demons, your fears, then your life becomes meaningful. I can be happier with less money and less power and less fame. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I often give the example of a Golgappa man who stands near a Saint Kabir school in Chandigarh, outside, and the guy is poor, always smiling.
Yeah.
I crossed him in my car, official car, many a time for many years, and I used to notice this guy smiling so broadly. So I stopped the car. I wrote a piece on him. I went and gave him a clipping. I said, sir, आप हंसते क्यों रहते हो? He says, Saab ji, I'll say it in English, though he said it in Hindi. He says, God helps me and I don't worry too much. So our society is too much worried, too much yearning for money, too much for power, too much of, quest for this, that and the other. Even Instagram, and I need so many likes, so many followers, so many this. So I think we are too much driven by materialistic goals which give us temporary happiness. So I become a little spiritual in the last 10 years, meditation and other things which help me to remain grounded and balanced. So I realized that the goal of life is inner happiness, inner peace. So the money, power, fame won't give it. So I learned in my career also this gradually. And luckily for me, my father was a very honest, very upright, very reputed officer. So I didn't have to do too much. They knew that this guy is his son. So I was comfortable. And I never got those wrong pressures from anybody. Do this, do this, do this. Because they knew he wouldn't do it. So it was easier for me, but I think I evolved. And I became sure of myself that this is my goal. This is what I want. And I want to serve the society and remain happy from within. And that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah. That's really profound. And your reputation precedes you everywhere you go.
It's something which precedes everyone. So a bad reputation or a good reputation, it will walk into the room before you walk into the room.
Yeah, that's true. My next question is, you started your journey as an IAS officer in a very different India. And what would you say is the difference between the India that you started your journey with and the India that you left? And is the
I think it became a little more frenzied now, a little more busy, everyone in a hurry. And when I started out, we could do things like, I could have the whole day to sort out one problem in my village touring or something. I'm gone to a village, there's a road problem, one party is not allowing others to use that road. I can spend the whole day sorting it out, convincing that party that this is a public road, you should not do this. Party means a group of people. So now I can't, because I'll get a call in the middle. You have to reach so-and-so place, the chief minister is coming. Or mobiles weren't there when I started out. In 91, 92, mobiles were not there. They came after 2000. So now I am to reply to my WhatsApp group. I have to reply to my own personal social media, whatever questions somebody is asking me. So I became a part of the bandwagon which we all are. Social media and an unendingly busy life. But then Socrates said, beware the barrenness of a busy life. So banjar zameen hai wo. barren life.
Yeah.
So he said it in BC, before Christ. So we here should understand that busy lives are not going to give us meaningful happiness. But we need to find that conversation time. Now you and I are having a conversation on camera. If we could find time for this conversation off camera at a cafe, life improves.
Yeah.
If you can do one of these per week, not with me, with friends, with anyone, or with me, it really improves your quality of life. So I was on a group of my classmates and they were saying, what should we do? We're getting older. How do we stay happy? So 5 things I mentioned, which I talk about. Meditation, conversations, reading books, physical fitness, and creative activity, and music. So maybe you can really find things which give you that inner happiness, inner peace. So I think when I left the service, it was a very busy time, a very fast-paced life, which it is even now. So I still have busy days, but I need to find those moments of silence and calmness in the middle of a busy life.
Yeah.
That is what I've learned.
Yeah. And apart from the entire culture of the service changing, have you seen a shift in India as a whole? For example, India from being an agricultural driven economy to transitioning into a service based economy, or to modernizing, and to the entire cultural shift. Would you like to say?
Yeah, I would like to talk about that. You see, Chandigarh, I'll take the example.
Yeah.
So I was the director IT and tourism of Chandigarh. And when we started out, Chandigarh was not known for services or manufacturing or anything, and Chandigarh was just a government Sarkari capital city. Punjab, Haryana known for agriculture, not for business, not for technology. Himachal also. So our job was to change the paradigm. And I was one of the people who was able to get the IT park of Chandigarh set up. And then Mohali also, where we are located right now, a technology area. And Haryana also, Gurgaon, Panchkula, etc. They have technology parks. Himachal too. So the culture of the country changed a lot when IT came. IT, that Y2K bug you may have heard of. Basically 99 to 2000, it was feared that all the computers would collapse. And the language being used, I was an electronics engineer, we didn't have computer science, I was coding and all earlier. I graduated in 1988 and then I was working a little bit in Aptech and all. So we were talking about COBOL was one of the languages. And all the systems of the world would have collapsed, but the Indians were to set that right. By making sure that the 99 to 00 would not take it back to 1900. This was the Y2K bug. It would actually register as 2000. Right? That gave Indian IT a fillip. And Indian IT catapulted onto the stage of the world. And then technology from India, the brains of India, started being noticed and respected. It also led to a culture change in the country. Youngsters who were earlier working in anything else would now come into services. This is services. And IT services, technology-enabled services are today everywhere. You're booking a ticket, you're booking a holiday, you are booking a Swiggy, whatever you are. We shouldn't name only Swiggy, we should say Zomato also. We are not partial to anyone. So you're basically using technology. So the culture changed along with technology. Social media came. Email IDs came. Earlier it was, that you call up somebody, I've sent you a mail, please read it. No, in today's era, you're not supposed to call up somebody, please read your mail. But this started out earlier as being the kind of way you went about it. So the culture gradually changed. Today, even 80-year-olds are on Instagram. And Facebook at least. So all the oldies are on Facebook and the youngsters are on Instagram. But I'm on both, right? So the thing is that you adapt to change, and India adapted very well. The world started respecting India. The confidence levels of the Indians grew. So I have a TEDx talk on being global, being Indian in a global era. In that I talk about this, that you have your aloo paratha and gobi ka achar and whatever you do, but you're working for Google. So IBM. And therefore, you are Indian in a global era. So the Indian cricket team is not apologetic anymore. They used to be scared of the Australians or the British or the Englishmen. Now they give it in the face.
Yeah.
So the culture has changed to one of confidence. Even the guy in a small town like Kota or Ambala will be a mobile repair chap. He has a certain swag.
Yeah.
So the culture changed that to that extent. But what we need to do is to maintain the traditions that we have along with this confidence which has come.
Yeah.
That is the key. I am a writer. I write on these things a lot. So I think that was a long answer, but at least we covered it.
Yeah. I think India's position in the global stage has really been highlighted because of India's culture, the soft power, and because of India's strength in IT sector.
Yes.
And now it's started, now the perception has changed. They're starting to feel that India might just be the next superpower.
But we already are in many ways.
Yeah.
Sure.
And what are your thoughts on India's current geopolitical scenario? Let's say we are facing very tumultuous times. We have Ukraine-Russia war. Pakistan, I don't know what's happening. It's going bankrupt. A lot of stuff is happening. What are your thoughts? Ki we are a part of this global community, and how should we how should we go about this? And what is the brighter side for India?
So, I am a civil servant, I am a motivational speaker, I have my own views, but I don't get too much into what is India's position in the world. My interest is more in the economic position. The geopolitical situation is best handled by the power, the government. However, I would say that India has always been respected as a neutral country by most countries of the world. Very few countries of the world are against India by ethos. We know them. There are a handful of them. And there are one or two more than before. So my thing is that those one or two more should also not be there. We should be calm, we should be helpful to others. If there are one or two countries which have become annoyed with India in the last few decades or last few years, we should make up with them. There is one country which we cannot make up with because it's been an age-old thing. Even that may happen someday. I remember Mr. Bajpayee reached out to them and he did a lot. So there are ways in which we can mend fences and at least see everybody needs to do their own job. If Pakistan has an economic problem, they will sort it out. And we should actually reach out and help them at this point. I know there may be other considerations, but there should be ways in which India can help. Secondly, I think it is also important for us to go about our own business without thinking too much about the global scenario. You see, if you look at India with 1.4 billion, so 1.4 billion, don't you think there are at least 100,000 people will be criminals in that? I mean, the numbers are so large. So those 100,000 people are obviously up to some tricks today. Right now, as we are doing an interview, he's planning his next robbery, right? Or dacoity. So things do go wrong in a world or a country of this size. A war is going on, unfortunate. It will dissipate at some point of time. Some clashes are going on elsewhere in the world. Terrorism is still there. So these pot boilers, these things will happen as long as our own home is okay. As long as we are able to function, as long as we are able to look after our own borders and our own internal mechanisms, as long as no terrorist incidents are popping up here and there, which haven't happened, luckily, touch wood, for many years. So I think we are okay. There's a saying that, you know, the king changed in one era. So somebody went to a farmer and said, hey farmer, do you know that the king has changed, that we have a new king? He says, so what, I don't care. I just have to till my land, I'll keep tilling my land. Doesn't bother me. So I don't think a normal guy should be too much worried about the powers, the government, the politics. In fact, our discussions of in the drawing room or the bus or coffee table should not be too much about politics and crime. They should be more about science, technology, culture, music, the youth, how can we improve society, social change. And I find a lot of you guys, younger people, my daughters are about a little older than you, they are into thinking of society. and they are into helping the common man. So that is where we should focus. But at the geopolitical level, I think India is reasonably fine, needs to mend a few things and be all-inclusive in its approach. That is very important.
Yeah. You mentioned about focusing on ourselves and trying to grow. What do you feel are the biggest bottlenecks when it comes to growth for our country, and how do you think we can fix them?
So population is not talked about. It is definitely a bottleneck. We are going to stabilize. You may have read that maybe later this century we hit the peak and
26.
So then the population is not going to grow at that rate. That will be great. Even today, if India had a population which was half of what it is now, our resources would have been doubled. So per capita, you would have been a rich country. But it's not easy to wish that to happen. We need to manage with what we have. We need to improve our service delivery. I've been a great proponent of seamless service delivery in government. As Director IT, I was in something called e-Sampark. We won the national award in Chandigarh for that, for e-governance delivery of services. As I was an engineer, I told you IT. So how we can provide seamless delivery of service. Today, lots of things are happening on the mobile, which are great, which government is also able to offer. And you can book your movie tickets, etc. So all that is fine. But the thing is that we need to improve our quality of life, focus on the common man, the disparity, the economic divide, the digital divide, financial inclusion, digital literacy. These things we need to focus on, and also on certain problems which are affecting the underprivileged even today due to age-old caste systems. Tribal areas, people are still, shunned in many places. And there are still these warlords, landlords, the kind of people in rural India who still, ruling the roost. And they haven't changed. Much of India is still the same. And that age-old thinking, the girl can't go out of the house and can't study beyond class 10, it's still there. So I went to Kalka, I was DC Panchkula afterwards, and I went to Pinjore, which is near that. And there was a girl who was a topper of class 10, and she didn't go to class 11 at all. Study stopped. So I asked the parents there in the village, I said, what are you doing? She's the first ranked student of class 10, and she didn't go. He says, I don't want to send my daughter by bus to class 11, which is far away. The school of plus 2 is far away. So this kind of thinking still exists. And then that culture of the roadside, where a young lady can walk on her own. Bombay is a great example where people are safe. Bangalore is not bad as far as I know. Chandigarh is also okay, but then there are places in India where still young ladies cannot flourish. And we all have sisters and daughters and our mothers, and therefore we should look after them. So I think women need to be given that even keel. That is where India needs to work.
It's a very pertinent point, because India has one of the lowest female participation in the workforce. And how do you think we can leverage the use of technology? We can use technology to leverage the demographic divide and improve the access to information, knowledge to specifically underprivileged communities or underprivileged groups. For example, you gave the example of girls and other tribal communities.
Yes. So I think technology is a great facilitator, enabler, leveler. So 3 things it is definitely. And the person sitting in a back of beyond village right now is watching the same video that we are. Maybe the bandwidth is not as great as it might be in a modern big city. But I think technology has brought a lot of knowledge, know-how, awareness to the rural areas. I think it's a great development. But what we need to do even today is to make sure that the common man or the poorer man is given that respect, that opportunity. So if a boy in cricket, for example, is very talented as a fast bowler, just needs a bit of coaching, but because he's in a remote area of Jammu Kashmir or Tamil Nadu or wherever he is, we have to find him. And we have to open these district level sports. I'm a great believer in sports as an empowerment tool. So I think we need to open these stadia all over India, where district level sports competition takes place. And then the auntie ji, uncle ji, babies, everybody's participating. And that culture of sports, music competitions, painting competitions. So when a society starts moving from this disgruntled kind of attitude towards the higher arts and music and all, of course, he needs his food first. And we need to ensure the basic minimum comfort levels there. But then at the same time, there are many people in the middle class, etc., who are whiling away their time and getting into drugs, etc., in states like Punjab. So we need to create that culture of creativity. At the same time, look after that common man. Not easy to do, but can be done. And we need to improve the service delivery levels, the motivation of teachers, of officers, of doctors, of people at the ground level in villages and small towns, who then give back to the society. Who is the young person looking up to? Who is the role model of society today? We need more role models. Parents are not, unfortunately, the role models they should be. I mean, some of us are lucky to have good parents, but many kids don't. And those parents are too busy. They don't have time. So they get richer, and then the maids are looking after the kids. And in certain cases, the kids are just, learning from wherever. So it's very important that we work on society.
You mentioned about role models. Who would you say were your role models or ideals while growing up?
I was a sports lover always, and even now. So I really were I was a fan of Sunil Gavaskar when I was very kid, very small child. Then Sachin Tendulkar, Roger Federer. And then I was a very big fan of my dad, of course, and my mom. They were great human beings, so they were my role models. And then I became spiritual, as I said. I read the autobiography of a yogi, which is by Paramahansa Yogananda. And when I read him, then I became a fan of him. And he's the guru I follow. I can show you that I have his picture on my screen. And I follow his teachings. So this is something which I really like to, here we are. That I read that book and I became a staunch devotee. I follow Kriya Yoga, meditation. So he's my role model at the moment, because he said that one can be calmly active and actively calm, and one can win the battle of life by winning the inner battle. So minimize your fears through meditation, through spiritual thinking, and look at the bigger picture of life. Lots of learnings.
You mentioned about parenting, and I think that's one of the crucial roles that one of the people who every kid looks up to. Like, I look up to my dad. He works there. He works very hard. He's very passionate about what he does. What do you feel has taught you to become a better parent? And what are the things that you've actually learned from your kid, not the other way around?
Yeah, so we have 2 daughters, and we are all guys in this room, but girls are great. And these daughters are great. So they are very loving. And it is something I've learned from them, that how to be more caring, more loving. As a man, often you are a little wooden and feelings are not shown. So I become a little more gentle, I think. And I'm a Scorpio by birth, which I used to think I'm a very fiery kind of guy.
Tough,
I'm become milder and balanced and cheerful. You can be firm without being angry. That is something I teach in my leadership workshops. I do a lot of leadership workshops, emotional intelligence workshops. I have a large following on my videos on YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, my Instagram channel. I do a lot of workshops on public speaking skills. So one of the things I say is how you can be firm, but not necessarily shout at people, to be respected, to get the best out of your team. Authority is not as important as respect. That's what I say. So I've got a few quotes of this kind which have helped me. So coming back to this, I think as a parent, I've learned from the kids. I have improved as a parent. And from my own parents, I learned that art. And my wife Nina, she runs a school for toddlers.
Oh, wow.
So again, she running a school for toddlers is another way of empathizing with the kids. So I think she's very balanced and a cheerful kind of person. So I think a cheerful, happy home is good for a great upbringing of kids. And when the parents are fighting with each other a lot, then the kids also learn that. So it's not good.
What are the qualities that are paramount to you, and like you wish to inculcate these qualities in yourself and even the people you interact with, your kids?
Yeah, so I have my 7 C's when I go for my talks. I'll quickly say them. These 7 C's actually lead to a lot of success and happiness in life. So everybody has them, but some have 10 out of 100, some have 40 out of 100.
Yeah.
So I'm also a work in progress. The first is courage, fearlessness, less fear, if not fearless. The second is character. So we picked up somebody's chocolate when we were kids. Now the chocolates have become something else.
Yeah.
So you cannot be dishonest. Character, don't cross the red light when nobody's watching. That is your test. Number 3 is creativity. How to be more innovative. Like I would love to have a hairstyle like yours. That's creative.
Yeah.
So, anything that you can do to break what is a very technical word is ennui. ENNUI. So that ennui, if you have in your life, is boredom. So you try to get out of that. And anyway, you do more creative things, innovative things. Number 4 is calmness. Calmness is a goal. Calmness is your friend. Calmness improves your health. Number 5 is compassion. Thinking of others and not only of yourself, not being egocentric. Number 6 is contentment. Contentment means that I'm grateful for what I have. I'm not thankless. And number 7 is cheerfulness. Being a cheerful, good-humored person instead of a rondu type, dukhi atma, criticizing people all the time, complaining all the time. So if you can do these 7 qualities, I think you're a very balanced individual. And then I add one skill which is vital to your life and success in my book, Finding Success Within also. And that is the C for communication. So we are talking, we are communicators, we write, we are communicating, we are texting, we are communicating. What body language is communicating. So all these things, the vibes that we have, the vibrations, the aura. So 7 qualities and 1 skill, and we'll be doing well.
Yeah, that's great. And these are a lot of qualities that people admire. But what are the things that you are insecure about, and how do you make sure that you don't succumb to these insecurities?
So, human beings have a little bit of fear in them, and I have improved a lot in my fearlessness. One used to worry about career. A student will obviously be worried about where will I be later, placements, this, that. I want to start up, and that risk is there. The parents are not helping out, or they're not understanding. It happens at times. There's a gap of communication. So I used to have these, which everyone had. But I think I'm very much assured now. Meditation helps me. So that insecurity now is minimal. The future is obviously everybody. Nobody knew the pandemic was coming. I mean, supposing something like the pandemic, God forbid it doesn't comes again in 5 years from now. Some other test comes to the world. We feel just generally insecure about that. But I don't feel insecure about my own life or my own persona or my own situation. So I'm pretty comfortable there. And I don't overthink. I try not to overthink. Physical exercise, try to be a fit person. And I meditate, so that helps me to worry less. That's important.
And you mentioned about a lot of these insecurities. And I feel like a lot of youth in present day's time face a lot of these same problems. And would you like to say something?
I would. See, when you are on Instagram and you're seeing people like Hrithik Roshan or Siddharth Malhotra, and they look perfect, and you want to be like them, or Virat Kohli, Dhoni, they're so successful, or rich guys, or Ronaldo, or Messi, or whatever. So you are basically denigrating yourself that I'm not as good as them. So I'm overthinking. This guy, my friend, was behind me in marks, but he's ahead of me in life. He's doing better in his career. Why is that so? I was a topper when he was not, but his career is better than mine. So I start overthinking. Or so-and-so did not like my post, so I overthink. Or so-and-so has not replied to my WhatsApp message. That is my problem. So I think I need to chill and relax a little more as a youth. Life will unfold. And we have to accept that life is unpredictable. Life cannot be predictable. You cannot have 2 plus 2 out here. It can be a formula which is going to be dynamic and unpredictable. So accept and embrace that uncertainty, unpredictability. Every day is different, and then you become a better human being, calmer human being. As a youngster, I can only say that don't put pressure on yourself. If you worry so much, then your worries will come true. Because by worrying, your performance goes down. You go to an interview and you're so worried that you didn't perform at your best. So the worry became your drawback. And then that worry comes true because you didn't perform.
And
so I think overthinking is totally... And then 5 things I said: meditation, reading books, physical fitness, good conversations, creative activity, including music. All these things will help you.
We know that you're a future watcher and you have understanding and very deep perspective of where our country is headed or where the world is headed. So what would you say that is up for India in the next 20 years or maybe 30 years?
So I'm a society watcher, definitely, because I write a fortnightly column on society in the Hindustan Times, and it's called Random Forays. And I think I know that we are headed for more technology, definitely. So we are a technical university here, Lakh, and we may have a chip in our wrist, and that this phone will be in my wrist, and I become an automaton. So where are we headed? We are headed to an era where AI is going to be more and more, but we have to retain the human element. So I need to, if you are looking as if you're feeling low today, I need to be able to appreciate the fact that my friend is not himself. So can I have the emotional intelligence to ask my neighbor that, hey, you're something wrong today? Or am I just going tuck, algorithms and algorithms? So I need to be human in an era of technology. So I think India has an edge over many countries in that. Because of our family, because of our festivals, rituals, positive activities that we can do, our food, our dance, our music, our culture. Our weddings are still, the same. They may have become high tech, but the kind of joy we get out of our functions, our birthday parties, in many countries, sorry to say, are very boring. They may be perfect in terms of being clean and modern, but there's no zing, there's no what we call in India ronak. So I think India is poised to do the best in terms of adopting technology and AI, but retaining that human element. This is the thing.
And thank you so much for answering these questions patiently. I'll just ask a final question. What's the plan for your future? How do you see yourself continuing to contribute to your surroundings?
I think I really feel for the youth, as I said. I want to engage more with the youth. I travel across India now, and I go to various corners, and I get invitations every week for TEDx, for this or that. So I think I want to do more. And if 1% of the youth of India know about me as of now, because I came on the Ranveer show, Beer Biceps, they're all like, wow. So I need at least 50 times of that to know about my message. Whatever I've told you in this interview, and I'm sure you agree with most of it, is something they also need to hear. In Hindi, Punjabi, English, whatever they can. And I think more outreach, more being a role model. So if they look at me and they feel inspired and positive, UPSC aspirants, preparing for the exam, feeling low, acha Vivek sir ka video dekha, chalo, feeling better. That's my role.
That's great, sir. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Rajat. Good to be here.